Chapter 13. Your destiny is around the corner. Apollo was somewhere between livid and confused by Coyote's actions. He was certainly having fun on stage, and didn't mind hearing how great he was from one Mr. Jackson Tate. He pulls one of the cards from his jeans and reads it again. It had a pretty hieroglyphic, Jackson's name, and a series of letters and numbers. Apollo isn't sure what to make out of the bottom of the card. "What do these mean?" he asks. "Address and telephone number. Don't worry, you don't need them." Apollo shoved the card into his leather jacket. He's growing more annoyed with Coyote as each moment passes. He was walking alongside Coyote, but suddenly he comes to a stop. Exasperated, Coyote asks, "What is it now?" "You said you have a strict no-interference policy, yet you continually interfere on my behalf. Why is that?" Coyote doesn't answer right away, and when he does, he denies it. "I have done nothing for you." "No, you have. You ensured I was fed. You pulled me from the music hall, and you hit that boy with a large rock. Now tell me, how is that not changing my fate?" "Technically, it was a center block, but I won't argue semantics. You want to go back to the music hall? Fine. But first, let me show you something." Apollo tags along as Coyote leads him back to the music hall. However, they pass the entrance and turn down the alley adjacent to it. "You have made quite the point, Apollo. I have been acting on your behalf. I am about to do so again. You may not like this one as much." Apollo turns to confront Coyote, but something catches his eye. Emerging from the San Francisco fog is a menacing being. Apollo recognizes him immediately. Coyote looks to the ground. "Sorry, I was actually beginning to like you." Pluto nears Apollo, but is diverted briefly by a homeless man. "Excuse me, sir," the homeless man begs. "Would you happen to have any spare change? I'd like to get something to drink." Pluto ignores him, but the man is persistent. "Just a little change will do. I don't ask for much." Pluto puts his hand on the homeless man's face and shoves him to the ground. Pluto is focused on Apollo, walking towards him Terminator style. Apollo glares momentarily at Coyote, but soon finds himself backing down the alley until he reaches the chain-link fence, which blocks it off. "Pluto!" Apollo calls. "How are you liking this new version of Earth?" Pluto grunts. "I like it a lot better without you on it." "This Earth's great. They have tacos and music and all sorts of new things to explore. We're a long way from Greece and Rome. So let's put our past behind us. Come on. What do you say?" Now the two are within a foot of each other. Pluto backhands Apollo hard across the face. "How's that for an answer, golden boy?" Pluto stings Apollo's face. "Look, there's no reason for us to fight. It's not like we're on the ethereal plane. No light, no darkness, just us. Let's have fun." Pluto backhands Apollo again, this time with his other hand. Apollo loses his balance and nearly falls. Apollo is done begging. He punches Pluto in the gut. It has little effect on the hulking Pluto. "That's what I want to see," Pluto says. "A little fight in you. I don't want this to be one-sided. Tell you what, I'll give you a free punch. Go ahead, hit me hard. Just know, I'm going to destroy you afterwards." Apollo is nervous. Fight or flight is running through his mind. Against his better judgment, he decides to fight. He closes his fist, and with all of his might, throws an overhand directly into his hulking opponent's jaw. Pluto staggers and rubs his aching chin. "Nice punch you got there, Apollo. Now the true beating can commence." Pluto swings wildly at Apollo, who easily ducks it. Pluto reloads, and Apollo moves his head in the nick of time. Apollo managed to get a couple of jabs in, while Pluto's defenses are dropped, but they only served to anger the behemoth. He reaches and grabs Apollo by the jacket and pulls him close. "Now that you are in my grasp, sun god, there is no escape." Pluto punches Apollo in the gut repeatedly, forcing the air out of Apollo's lungs. Pluto pushes Apollo onto his back and into a puddle. The underworld god stands over him. Pluto smiles. "The rest of this, I'm going to specifically enjoy. Ending you once and for all." He grabs Apollo by the back of the jacket and shakes him. Everything from the frat boy's pocket falls to the ground. Apollo realizes he must do something drastic, so he headbutts Pluto squarely in the nose. There is a distinct cracking sound. Pluto drops Apollo to the ground and rubs his nose. It hurts like hell, but he is glad the sun god has decided to fight back. Victory will be so much sweeter. Apollo sweeps his legs and trips the hulking Pluto. Now they are both on the ground. Apollo leaps on top of his foe and begins to hit him hard in the face. Then, the strangest thing happens. Pluto is bleeding. Apollo has never seen a god bleed before. It was something only mortals did. He's momentarily stunned, and this is all the opening Pluto needs. With his tremendous strength, he literally bench presses Apollo from his chest. Apollo lands on his knees and quickly staggers to his feet. Pluto wipes his nose and looks at his hand. He is furious that he is bleeding.
"What did you do to me?"
he demands. Apollo remains in a defensive position.
"I'm not really sure."
Pluto charges at Apollo, but Apollo deftly sidesteps him and watches as Pluto runs headlong into the brick wall. Apollo is on him in an instant, punching Pluto in the ribs, but his advantage is quickly reversed. Soon, it is Pluto smashing Apollo's head into the bricks. Pluto is no longer enjoying this fight and wants it to end. He leaves Apollo leaning against the wall and searches for a weapon. He finds an empty bottle of MD 2020 and breaks it. Now he has a dagger. He holds it to Apollo's neck.
"Enjoy the taste of death,"
he says.
"See you in the underworld."
Pluto pulls back the jagged bottle and is ready to thrust. Bang! Pluto feels a pain in his side like he has never felt before. He drops the bottle and sees more blood, this time seeping from his midsection. He looks angrily at Apollo. 2 more gunshots ring into the night. Bang! Bang! Pluto falls and finds he cannot get up. He lays quietly in misery, only gasping a few last words to Apollo.
"You will never win this war."
And with that, he rolls over and takes his final breath. From the mist emerges Freya. She is carrying a Glock 40 and it is still smoking. She rushes to Apollo's aid. Both are shocked to see blood, much less such a copious amount. Apollo is surprised and relieved to see Freya. Mostly relieved. Still, he is dazed. "What are you doing here?" "Saving your life," she replies.
"Don't be absurd,"
Apollo says.
"I'm immortal. You know I cannot die."
Freya motions to Pluto. "Maybe you should ask him."
"No. He's powerful. He'll reanimate soon. And he is going to be very, very angry."
"No, Apollo. The rules are different here." "Do you really think I would resort to this human weapon if I could magically produce a broadsword? That's far more my style. And believe me, I tried."
"I do not understand."
Freya does not have the patience for Apollo. "Quickly! This weapon makes a loud boom. I do not think we have a lot of time for discussion. Grab your coat and let's move. Are you able to walk?" Apollo straightens himself up and takes a few staggering steps.
"Not particularly."
Freya sighs. "Fine. Hold on to me. Let's go somewhere safe until you heal."
"Where?"
"Anywhere but here." From a perch atop a nearby building, Coyote watches the action take place. He observes Apollo and Freya limp off into the night. He smiles.
"Way to go, Apollo,"
he says softly. But he soon realizes he is not alone. The man with the hood is standing behind him. "Shaman," the hooded figure says. "There's much to discuss." Coyote doesn't turn around to acknowledge him.
"I don't know what there is to discuss. I delivered the package, just like I was instructed to do."
"The outcome was not a desired one."
"Sounds like a personal problem to me. I did my part. I expect my payment."
The hooded man is unwavering.
"Your payment shall be bestowed upon you when the contract is complete. Until then, you will continue to be in my employ. Do you understand my mandate?"
Coyote turns and thinks he's staring the man down, but the hood obscures his vision. He assumes their eyes are locked.
"I want more. You hired me for a certain service which I have performed. If you want to continue this arrangement, you must be willing to offer more."
"That can be decided when the time comes. Your reward will be great, but necessity dictates that Apollo must die. You will find him again. Do you understand what you must do?"
Coyote turns back around and stares into the night. He understood his role, and he did not like it.